It makes me so proud to know that this community is represented in the Texas Senate by someone like William Davis, who is an absolute fighter and a champion. He does not care. It does not matter to him whether you're a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, whether you've ever voted in an election at all. He knows that you placed him into that position of public trust, and he's going to do everything he can with that position of power to deliver for you. He's doing that for those families in your valley day in and day out, and he will not stop until they get justice. He will not stop until they get action. He will not stop until we have the change that we need to make sure that no other family endures what these families in your valley are going through right now. Thank you for introducing me, for being such a good friend in this community, to me, and to making sure we have what we need. I want you to also take stock of these two extraordinary statewide candidates who just had the chance to introduce themselves to all of us. Susan Hayes is going to be a fierce advocate for rural Texas, for every community across the 254 counties. She is unafraid of anybody. It does not matter how much power they have. And she will represent everyone. It does not matter how much power they have been withheld from. She is there for each and every single one of us. And I want you to imagine this. Imagine if, instead of an attorney general that we are deeply ashamed of, who's been indicted twice, who's under active FBI investigation, who hurts instead of helps the people of Texas. We have someone like Rochelle Garza at that position of power, who is fighting for us each and every single day. This is our future. This is why we have to get behind her, Susan Hayes, every Democrat on the ballot, to make sure that we have those who have our best interests at heart. And lastly, I want to say this before I begin with our remarks. We would not be here but for the Changona, the chairwoman in Chingona and Comely Valley, Juanita Martinez, who not only ensured that we came here today and brought us all together, but no matter where we are traveling across the state of Texas, there's a good chance that we are going to see Juanita and others that she brings with her from Abbott County. So, Juanita, I want to thank you for all of the great work that you've done, all the people that you've inspired in this community. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to start with the big news of the day. We are going to win this election. We're going to win this together. We're going to win because we're going to make sure that in our Texas, every woman makes her own decisions about her own body. We are going to win because we're going to put our kids' lives ahead of the interests of the NRA or the government. Or a third job, and we're going to cancel the SCAR test in the state of Texas. We are going to win because we are going to fight for those who have fought for us. Those veterans that I have made in this community, who may make the drive to the clinic to see the VA in Laredo, may go to I-Berkeley in San Antonio, but want to be able to be seen closer to home, want to be treated with dignity and respect that they earn, that they deserve, that each of us owe them. When I am governor, because you put me in that position of public trust, we will spare those things to serve every person who has served this country. And we will begin by describing what we are for. As I listen to the leadership here in this community, I see such extraordinary opportunity and untapped potential. Let me give you some examples. Imagine the last major area of Texas that does not have a four-year university, had a four-year college to call its own, and it was headquartered right here in Eagle Pass. Imagine the jobs, the educational opportunities, the brain drain is now going to other parts of Texas, that talent, that intellectual capital that stays home right here in Maverick County. Imagine the professors that we would create, the jobs that would spin off, the intellectual capital, the entrepreneurs, the opportunities that we would create integrate right here in this community. Every other part of Texas has its own dedicated four-year university except the Middle Rio Grande. And the capital of Middle Rio Grande is right here in Eagle Pass. Let's be honest with each other right now. You are treated as the stepchild of the border by your current government and by your current state government with current company excluded. They don't see the value that we are here to find for ourselves. This isn't the easiest community to get to. You rarely see those in positions of power or public trust visit you, listen to you, and learn from you to make sure that they can deliver for you. How many open town halls has Greg Abbott held in this community?
Zero!
Questions from you.
Zero!
What if, after this town hall, we commit ourselves not just to that four-year university, but investing in the roads and the connections from Eagle Pass to the rest of this state and the rest of this country? What if we have more four-lane roads that go in and out of Eagle Pass? Expand 57, make sure that we expand 480, treat you with the respect that you deserve, living in the 9th largest economy on the planet today. And we're driving on roads right now that we might find in another part of the world altogether. You deserve your fair share of the state resources that we have. Senator Gutierrez can tell us in the Texas Department of Transportation bank account right now, there is $8 billion going unspent. When we win this election, we're going to start spending it, and we start right here in Eagle Pass. Listening to my friend Robert, who is a water expert in this community and in this region, if we are going to continue to grow, and if we're going to have that four-year university, and if we're going to capitalize on the trade that comes through here from Texas through Eagle Pass on to the rest of the country, and then back forth, we need to make sure that we have the water resources for the long-term growth of this community. Now listen, it's not the sexiest thing in the world. It's not a headline grabber. You don't hear other candidates talking about it. I'm talking about it right now because I have been listening to you. And you understand, unless we can secure the long-term water viability of Eagle Pass and Maverick County, there will be no Eagle Pass or Maverick County moving forward. So hear me right now. I'm going to work with your state senator and your state representative to make sure that we invest the resources in the water infrastructure that you need right here in Eagle Pass. That's going to make sure that we have the infrastructure for the long-term growth of this community. We do that four-year university, that investment in roads, that assurance that we have the water for the long term, that we start bringing down the top jobs in America. The high value, high skill, high wage opportunities that young people right now are leaving Eagle Pass to go find in other parts of this state or other parts of this country. I also live in an EP. Mine is El Paso, in a different part of the border. We have some of the same challenges that you do. It is hard to get to El Paso. If you're going to fly, you take 2 flights from almost any other part of the country, sometimes from any other part of the state. We've never received our fair share of resources, and whenever the governor talks about us, it's as though we're some kind of security problem to be walled off or fenced away or just to scare other people in Texas about who we are, versus the extraordinary potential and opportunity that I see in this room right now. What if, when we win this election in public education, what if that included universal all-day pre-K for our 3- and 4-year-olds so they can begin learning to read at that tender age so that they're just as competitive as any kid in any other part of the state? What about those who live in this community with intellectual disabilities who right now are on an 18-year wait list for state-supported services? What if instead of 18 years, it was 18 days to get those statements, to be taken to the one place they're guaranteed any kind of care at all? And what it costs you as a taxpayer here in Maverick County is $120 a night to keep that person locked up. Let me tell you, there's a solution for that. And when we win this election, we are going to bring back our federal income taxes, $10 billion a year, to expand Medicaid in the state of Texas, to connect more people with care, to to rise to your promise, to reveal your genes, yourself, your family, for your neighbors, and for all of us as a state. Think about what I'm talking about right here. Because some of us are Democrats, and I love that you're here. Others are Republicans, and you're just as welcome. Independents, we want you here as well. The agenda that I'm describing is one that can bring us together in these very divided times. Hear what I said. I talked about investing in infrastructure that attracts better, higher-paying jobs. I talked about getting behind our public school educators, our teachers, our counselors, and our librarians, so we elevate the level of public education in the state of Texas. I talked about making sure that you can see a doctor or fill a prescription or take your kid to a mental health care provider. There are many things that we may disagree, but on this much, I think we can come together. But let me tell you what we're up against right now. If that vision appeals to you, if you want to see us do the big things in Texas again, then this is what we must overcome. That is Greg Abbott, perhaps the worst governor in the United States of America today. Let me make my case. 9 days. It has been 9 days since his trigger law went into effect. That means that abortion is banned in the state of Texas now, with no exception for rape and no exception for incest. And it begins at conception in a state that has one of the highest levels of maternal mortality in the world. That means that we are losing women in this state faster than we are almost anywhere else in this country, and women of color, specifically black women, we are losing faster than almost anywhere else in the developed world, bar none. Now, not only do I not agree with that, maybe you don't either, 78% of Republicans in the state of Texas think that this law is far too extreme. It is hurting, and ultimately it will kill the women of Texas. When I give you the numbers, I said 9 days since that became law. It is now more than 14 weeks since those 19 children and their 2 teachers in Uvalde were taken from us. Those teachers who sacrificed every day of their working lives to try to connect with those kids, though they were not paid enough just to work one job, maybe they had to take 2 or 3. They had to deal with the STAR test, the bureaucracy, the hoops that they had to jump through. But they went to work every single day to make sure that they could help those kids live to their full potential. They were willing to sacrifice their very lives to try to make sure that those kids could get ahead. But you know what they were up against? Not only an 18-year-old with an AR-15 and hundreds of rounds of ammunition, a firearm originally developed for use in Vietnam to knock an enemy soldier down dead at 500 yards, to penetrate a steel helmet. Those kids at 5 feet, not 500 yards, with nothing on their head but a baseball cap, were absolutely defenseless. Their parents could only identify them by the shoes that they were wearing or a DNA swab that was taken. But those kids were not just up against that gun and that AR-15 and those high-impact, high-velocity rounds that hit their body. They were up against a governor who would not lift a finger to prevent this from happening. As Senator Gutierrez said, we had the massacre at Santa Fe High School in 2018, the massacre in a church in Sutherland Springs, the massacre in my hometown of El Paso in 2019 that claimed the lives of 23 people. A month later, it was Midland, Odessa, 8 people killed and taken from us. 5 of the worst mass shootings in U.S. history have taken place in this state in the last 5 years on Greg Abbott's watch. And the man who can call a special session to go after transgender kids, the man who can call a special session to go after critical race theory, the man who can call a special session to weaken our voting laws and our ability to choose the candidates of our own choice, could not be bothered to call a special session to protect our kids as they enter the classroom this very week all across the state of Texas. Ladies and gentlemen, we must replace him. We need change. We need someone who can do the common sense things and find the common ground. Now, what that is raising some vetting. But if you buy from a private seller, there's none of that. No questions asked. That's how we lost those 8 people in Midland, Odessa. Those 3 things. Listen, again, we may not agree on everything, but raising the age, a red flag law, a universal background check on that much, Republicans, Democrats, gun owners, non-gun owners alike can find the common ground in order to make a difference. Let me give you another number. 18 months. Senator Gutierrez referred to this. 18 months since the genius in power could not keep the power on for you when the temperature dropped last February. Hundreds of our fellow Texans literally froze to death in the energy capital of the world. We have an embarrassment of riches, whether it's oil and gas or wind or solar. You name it, it is right here in Texas. But because he was warned and did nothing to address the underlying vulnerabilities, not only did we freeze in our homes, but we're now each paying $45 more per month on our electricity bills, as though to add insult to injury. He allowed the energy traders and the pipeline CEOs to literally make a fortune off the backs of our fellow Texans who were suffering last winter. $11 billion was stolen from us. Well, there's an answer to this as well. After we win, we connect our grid, ERCOT, with the national grid so we can pull down power when we need it. We winterize and weatherize every single part of our grid infrastructure, and we make sure that the $11 billion stolen from us is recovered and returned to the ratepayers to bring your electricity bills down. You all get behind that one? Everybody needs to have some savings right now. Last thing that I want to say, and it's been on my mind and on my heart, and I'm sure the same for you. We learned yesterday that 8 people, 8 human beings, attempting to come to this country, lost their lives in this river. We also know that the heroic men and women, the Border Patrol, the local fire department, of the sheriff's office, willingly risk their lives to try to save the lives of others and to retrieve the bodies of those whom we lost. Just in the Del Rio sector, over the course of this last year, we have lost 218 people. We also lost Bishop Evans, member of the Guard, who heroically went into that river trying to save migrants. I will tell you, Democrats, Republicans alike, we have failed the people of this community. We have failed those men and women in law enforcement and the Border Patrol on whose backs is borne our entire immigration policy right now, because we have failed to rewrite our immigration laws since Ronald Reagan was president. That was the last time that we even so much as tried. 218 people. Let us put ourselves in their minds, in their hearts, and in their shoes. No one risks the lives of their kids for kicks, or to steal a job, or to take someone else's place in this country. I have to think about what it would take for me to take my 11-year-old son Henry by the hand and to attempt that same process. I would only do it if it was the only way I was assured that I might be able to save his life. I knew returning to my home country might very well mean his certain death. I propose to you this, not as a Democrat, but as your fellow Texan, your fellow American, and your fellow human being. Let us come together, regardless of the differences between us, as Texans, and lead the way to rewrite our immigration laws to reflect our values, our interests, and our needs. Let us say this: if you want to come to this country, we welcome you, but you must follow our laws. And on our side, we will rewrite our laws to reflect what we know to be true. That if you want to come here to work and you pose no threat or harm to this country, there should be a safe, legal, orderly path for you to do that. If you want to join families, there should be a safe, legal, orderly path for you to do that. If you are trying to break asylum, and today it takes 6 years to get an answer back on your asylum request, there must be a safe, legal, orderly path for you to be able to do that. Not 6 years. How about 6 weeks? or 6 days? And if the answer is yes, we say welcome. And if the answer is no, and I know this doesn't ride comfortably with everyone, then you must return to your country of origin. We are a nation of laws. It's what sets us apart from so much of the rest of the world. If you want to do right for those who seek to come to this country to do better for themselves and to do better for all of us, we should do this. If we seek to do right by those members of the Border Patrol and law enforcement who willingly risk their lives on a daily and nightly basis for all of us, we must make these changes. And if we want to continue to be the shining example in the world, 246 years and counting, we must do this. No more stunts, no more buses to Chicago or Washington or New York. That's not going to fix the problem or save lives or make this better. Let's meet this challenge with the solutions of the people of Texas. And let's start with here. You with me on this? All right. Listen, let me close with this. And then Cynthia's got another microphone. I told you that I came to listen. I came to learn. I came to understand, and I mean it. Before I do that, though, let me just say this. We would love for you to be part of this victory. There are a number of volunteers today in yellow reflective vests. Each of them is holding a clipboard. And on that clipboard are opportunities for you to sign on, to be able to join us knocking on the doors of those voters who are going to decide the outcome of this next election. Now, we know that in 2020, 7 million eligible Texans did not cast a ballot. Not because they're lazy, not for any lack of love for this great democracy, but because this state has made it so hard for too many to fully participate. We show up at their doors, we invite them in, we explain where they can vote early, how to vote by mail, what it means to vote in person on election day, and there's a far better chance that they are going to join us. And again, I say this campaign is not being run by and for Democrats or independents or Republicans. It is for all Texans. No me importa. It does not matter to me the differences between us. This is a time for Texans to come together and do great things.